Hello and welcome to the Creatively Geeky Show. I'm your host for the evening, Eugene Stevens. I'm joined by my other creative, the other part of my creative spirit, basically. So, which is evident by the phone call last night. So we'll talk about that in a minute. But Chris and Ray are joining me. How are y'all doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm tired. So
Aww.
school has actually started. I mean, I've been back on contract for a while, but school officially started, and it's constantly running around taking care of stuff, and then we're having to reset a bunch of passwords, so we're constantly having kids at the door. I need to reset my password, and we're not letting them into our office. We've got a good distance between us and them, and we're having to shout, and they're just, huh? Come on. You're here for a reason. Pay attention. Anyway,
you should almost go to email.
I know, right? So let's go ahead and jump into what we've been working on. Would anyone like to go first?
Sure.
All right, Ray.
Sure.
Just a quick recap. This is what you said you were going to try to work on. You were looking to buy some basswood. You were looking to carve some more figures. And I just threw out the thing on there. You had started working on a Hobbit door.
Right. So the Hobbit door has been touched.
Okay. How's the basswood going?
I was able to pick up some basswood.
So where did you pick this up at?
So there's a place up here, Lee Valley Tools.
It's Ray's new favorite store.
Nice.
It's my new toy store.
Cool.
They have pretty much everything you can think of, and they had a large chunk of basswood. And then I think let me just go grab it. I think I have a piece here.
Is it on your desk? As we wait for him.
I know, right? Bunch of dead air.
Yeah. Come on, big guy.
Yeah, I know. Right. I'm basketball. So they had a large chunk similar to this size.
Okay.
But this one is actually small planks.
Okay.
So this is basswood, which we'll discuss about the topic today. So I was actually going to make some signs out of these.
Okay.
I have a couple of ideas. So I was going to make some signs and do them up nicely and then see what I can do with those. And then I also was able to cut down. So we saw the original one.
Okay, yeah. For those watching the video, this is one of the original wizards that he had carved.
This is Gandalf.
So that was pine. Mm-hmm. This one was made out of cedar.
That's right.
Right. So I'm trying to get a little bit more interesting in the hat and stuff like that.
Okay.
This one is a hardwood that I happen to have a chunk of, just because it's, it was a little bit different.
That's Saruman.
So that's Saruman. And then I have the basswood, and I have to say this is by far my favorite wood to work with.
That's one of the blue wizards.
Oh wow, that looks good.
So a little more detail in the hat, and what a dream to work with.
So you said this was because I asked. I figured it would be a softwood. You said though it is a hardwood that carves really well and holds detail.
Yeah. So I'll give you a quick show here. So it's hard to see. I'll try and show it up close. So this is cedar. Cedar's a softwood. You can see in the eyes areas, it's kind of cut up and beat up and doesn't cut very well. No matter how sharp I got my knife, that was always the way. Where if you get close up with the basswood.
Oh yeah, I can definitely see. Wow, that is a clean cut.
It cleaned really well, and I can get a lot more detail in the beard as well. Again.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I can see that.
A lot of detail in the beard, where the cedar was a little bit more friable. Pine was okay to work with, but the basswood just held the detail a lot better and cut like butter. It was beautiful to work with.
Very cool.
So yeah, So I did all that. Haven't touched the door. But I was able to work on the shop.
Okay.
Yeah. Huge size for the shop.
So I was able to pull a bunch of stuff out, get some stuff moved around. We actually moved the bikes out of. I got an update on that for you too as well. I forgot. Was able to move the bikes out of the shop and into the garden shed. So that's all been worked on. So
that freed up a big corner for you.
It actually made me think of where I'm going to put my table saw. I'm going to do a rolling cabinet for the table saw, and then that way I can actually have it rolled out and do some work with the table saw and stuff. So that was big. And then, I was able to help out a buddy today too. So he's doing his siding. So today was a creative day. I was able to do some vinyl siding, which is why I'm a little redder than usual. So it's been a busy time, but worth it. There was a lot of tinkering, a lot of fun stuff going on, and got some carving done, which is good too.
Good deal.
Yeah.
Chris, do you want to go next?
Sure.
Okay. You had finished the purple blanket.
When I did.
And the other thing you had was a plan of attack.
Still working on the plan of attack.
I wonder what I meant by that.
I think I know what you meant because of a conversation that we had. Tell you what, let's start with the purple blanket and then we'll move into that.
So it's done. This is the part of the purple blanket. Now the dog and cat have laid on this a lot, so there's a ton of dog or cat hair, but there's bubbles.
I see them.
Bubbles on it, and then the border, which crochet usually needs a border because the sides tend to be a bit janky. But it's huge, and it's kind of heavy. But Logan also really likes cuddling up with this. So
it'll be nice in the wintertime.
It'll be really nice in the wintertime to just snuggle up with it. But yeah, that was it was a good learning exercise in patience and repetitiveness, because if I have to do a bobble stitch anytime soon, it'll be too soon. But that I really like doing it. And then the plan of attack, I don't know what I meant by that.
I think that was to do with your store.
Yes. So that was my thought process, because you had said you were looking into some different things, like what you wanted to do with your store. Yes. And then there was a point where you had contacted me and had asked about possibly a mentorship.
Yes. So part of my personality traits is that I often will freeze when come up against something that has way too many options, where I'm presented with like everything. I freeze for fear of making the wrong decision. So I would just rather not make a decision. So that's what I've come up against, because Etsy is one of those things where, because this is mine and I can do whatever the hell I want, that's the best and worst thing for me. It's the best thing because it allows me a lot of creative freedom. However,
too much freedom.
It allows me too much freedom because I am then like, holy crap, there's too many options, and what if I pick the wrong one, and then the anxiety takes over and I go down a black hole. So I was thinking, there's this one woman that I follow on Instagram. I don't know her name, but her Instagram is called The Pigeon Nest, and she's from England. She's a friggin' hoot. She's got 2 small kids. And anyways, she does crochet, but she's been selling on Etsy, I believe, for 9 years.
Wow.
Yeah. So she's got this, and she's a veteran, and she does crochet as well. She makes completely different things than I do. She also sews and stuff. So it's a completely different market. But she's been doing this for 9 years. And I'm like, okay, if anybody would know, even if she said no, but, and like maybe like suggested somebody or like suggested a website or anything. It's just more like I kind of need somebody to be like, okay, that's cool. You got an Etsy shop. Fantastic. Have you thought about this? Or have you thought about that? Not somebody to like literally telling me what to do, but just sort of like things I haven't thought of or wouldn't know to look up or think about. So yeah, that's that plan of attack, and I have yet to ask her because I'm too shy.
Oh, I will say this. So I've listened to there's a group I listen to that do several podcasts. One of the podcasts they do is weird things, where they talk about a lot of SpaceX stuff and weird stories or whatever. Well, they do another podcast called After Things because they're all creatives, and they've talked about the one guy in there, Brian Brushwood. Was a stage magician and has moved on to some other stuff. He still does magic on the internet or whatever, but he literally he has it framed. I think he said he has it framed. He literally sent a handwritten message, of course, this is way before the internet, to I think he said Penn and Teller, but the one he got back from Penn was nice. The one he got back from Teller was fantastic, and basically was just like, okay, this is you're asking for, kind of where should I go or whatever. A lot of people, it is possible she might say, oh well, I don't really have time or whatever, and
Yeah.
but most people are, especially if you're kind of just up and coming, are very much open to it's just how the internet's become, is very much like, well, I won't give you everything, but here's at least a starting place. So,
Yeah.
I'm fully behind this idea of just reaching out and just being like, hey, could I pick your brain for a little bit or whatever? So,
Just like I'm not expecting anybody to like come in and basically do it for me, because that
right.
would. But just somebody to be like, okay, because I feel like I would do the same thing if I had that many years of experience, and somebody to be like, hey, I'm just starting out. What do you wish you knew back then that you don't know?
Right. And see, that's a fantastic, that right there is a fantastic question just to start with.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
What did I say? Quick, write it down.
I have it recorded.
Awesome.
One of the other things he mentioned was, especially if you're going to be asking for a favor, which it's kind of a favor, but it's kind of not. Are you a regular commenting on her stuff?
Yes, because I just started following her, and so I've like commented on a couple of her stories, on a couple of her posts. Nothing like, I'm not like every single thing.
Right. Yeah.
But I like stories, so I watch everybody's stories.
Right.
And yeah, so I like a couple of times, and she doesn't have like a huge. I think she just got to 10,000 on Instagram, but she's a veteran in retail. Like, she's already starting her Christmas stuff. She's already like.
Right.
All of it, she's already starting. She started it last month, and she's got 2 kids. She's got a 5-year-old and a 2.5-year-old, and she homeschools them during the summer. Ooh. And she's like, she does that's the other thing, is that she starts listing all of the things that she does, and I'm like, okay, so the last thing she needs is some chick from Canada going like, help me please, right? Like, she's already got so much to do.
Okay, so one of the other tips that I gleaned from that podcast also was, how are you planning on contacting her?
I was just going to DM her through Instagram.
Okay. Then here's what I would recommend.
Mm-hmm.
DM her and just wanted to say, I'm a big fan of your work. Period. Done. End of conversation.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
Maybe next week, if see if she responds or not, maybe next week just say, oh my God, that was so awesome. Something she posted, whatever. Mm-hmm. That way, when you get to the point where you're asking the question, because they put it in and they said email, that way when you look at the email chain, it's, oh wow, I've actually had a little bit of communication with this person before. They're obviously a fan. It's not just some Joe Schmo that just, oh hey, they look like they're new. Yeah. I would just start seeding it a little bit, and like literally just, I'm a big fan, either a big fan or I love the work that you're doing. Awesome. Something like, just very simple. And start from there, so that when she looks at the DM, she's like, oh, so I've already talked to this person a little bit. They obviously are a fan. They've been, whatever. So it's a good way to kind of slip in there a little bit.
Yeah, but then my other thing was, I hope she doesn't think that this is a people pleaser coming on me. Hope she doesn't think that I'm only sending her these messages just because I want something out of her.
Right, but I don't.
That's where my head goes.
I know, but I don't think that'll happen, because when you do comment, you're going to be genuine. You're going to be yourself, and when it comes across as a genuine self, then it won't read like hey, okay, like I've commented enough. You haven't responded back to me, right? So can you do this for me? It's like
Yeah.
that's not how you're gonna go about it. It's not a bad idea because I've actually found that there's two in particular, but there's three creators that I've actually got a good rapport with online now. Now it's all through just DMing,
Yeah.
but it was in response to their stories at first.
Hmm.
I would respond to their stories a couple of times, and Alexandria, what's her handle? I can't remember.
Oh, Alexandria's Lens.
Yeah, Alexandria's Lens on Instagram. Beautiful work, absolutely stunning. The other one is the Littlest Avenger. She's hilarious, very honest. She's a very positive body type. So
Body positivity.
body positive, making sure that you accept who you are, which is fantastic. And then Follow Me Away is the other one, and I've had followed her for a while. She does these gorgeous shots. It's her and her significant other of some sort. But she'll put on the dresses and stuff like that, go out to these gorgeous spots, and then he'll snap the pictures and then edits them afterwards. And just the editing is stunning. They'll make a pretty mundane photo look absolutely gorgeous. And they've gone all over the world doing this. So it's pretty cool that you bring that up, because just having those conversations and those interactions is usually enough that.
Yeah, but I agonize over stuff like that. Even like the littlest thing, I'm like, oh my God, does she think I'm weird? Oh, was that appropriate? And then I'll write, delete, agonize. And then I don't know how to people.
I understand that.
I just don't, I am not a person who peoples. And when I try to people, I feel like how much I don't people show serve, because I'm super awkward about it, and then
That's
fret
almost
about
all
it.
up here.
I know, but people in general, I don't people well, and so when I want to try to people well, it's like I'm very, very rusty at it, and then I get even more awkward. It's a vicious cycle. Anyways. But yeah. Oh.
We need to get you drunk.
No, I haven't had a drink in almost 3 years.
I know. I'm just teasing you.
I'd almost say, I'm not going to put this pressure on you. I'm not going to do this to you, but I'd almost say by the end of the show, we just need to go. Nope, just type it, hit send, and then just put it down and don't. That's it. See, I see your face, and I'm like, I don't want to do that to my friend, but I also want to be supportive, and I want to get that first shot fired. So
it's like jumping in an ice cold bath.
Yeah.
Just gotta do it and get it over with.
Done.
Yep.
And then I know it won't be as bad because she's a nice person and she's actually really quick with responding. I don't know how she does it with everything that she does, but yeah, I think she's just a natural busybody.
She probably is. She's got all that stuff going on. You almost have to be to keep up with everything. So.
Oh yeah, I'm not that person.
Yeah. All right, so what I had on my list was install lights, install fixtures, work on my flex, and then I'll get to the other thing that happened. Okay, so installing the lights. Yeah, that didn't happen. The other thing is actually what took longer. So Christy and I have paid. It's actually our friend Laney and Joseph. It's their next door neighbor. He's a really nice guy. And we paid him to come paint several rooms in the house. And what it boils down to is we were no longer able to really match the paint. And so even though we could match the color, we couldn't match the sheen. And so if in certain light, even, if we did touch up paint, it looked like it was like a shiny leopard in the room. And it was looking worse and worse and worse. So we're like, well, we're planning on moving out of this house in 4 to 5 years. Let's just go ahead and the other thing is we did this well over a decade ago. We painted every single room in the house a different color. So like the living room was brown, the kitchen was green, my office is blue, the boys' bathroom was purple. Like every room was a different color, and it's not like a mild, like it's a stark slap you in the face. This is that color. So anyway, we decided we're going to do a kind of just kind of a nice gentle gray. and we're doing it throughout the house. I really like how it's looking throughout the rest of the house. But anyway, we paid him to come in and do all this. Well, he gave us a really good deal, and part of it was I was going to take down, like, I took off all the plates and everything. I took down, all the stuff on the walls. The reason why this took so long is because while I was going, I was like, well, I might as well do this right as I'm going. So any holes that we had in the wall that maybe been covered, from previous pictures or whatever, I went ahead and fixed all those holes. Most of them are not bad. One of the biggest ones though was I had done this years ago. I had something. Oh, that's what it was. I had the center channel speaker above the TV, and it was kind of making it hard to hear, so I moved it back down. Well, anyway, there were 4 anchors in the wall, and for whatever reason, being younger and dumb, I was just like, oh, I can just go over it. No, can't just go over it, because no matter what, it still looked like there were 4 circular holes in the wall. So anyway, I was fixing that and fixing a bunch of other stuff, and then as he painted, I spent this last weekend, I spent the weekend before last prepping the house, and then I spent this last weekend getting everything, kind of back together with Christy's help. But anyway, our house is pretty much set, good to go. So I've been working on that. Not really that creative, just doing a lot of kind of type handiwork or whatever. The other thing is in the bathrooms, we changed out some of the hardware. So I changed out like the light fixtures, changed out like the toilet paper holder, towel, holders and stuff like that. Just kind of making things look a lot more modern. So that was actually been eating up, I'd say 50% of my time, maybe more than that. The other percentage of my time, since the last time that we talked, I was supposed to go to, well, okay, so 2 things happened. Lainey and Joseph and I got to do a con, which was awesome. That was definitely our last show. We were talking about gearing back up, and that definitely helped. That helped a lot with the situation. Because I got to see some of the other Ghostbusters that I don't normally get to see. It was energizing being around a crowd again. We were very safe. And we had a great time. I forgot how much I missed going to conventions. I know, I agree. And the other thing that was supposed to happen was this last weekend I was supposed to do a parade. Austin Pride Parade was supposed to happen. So I had been busting my butt trying to get my ecto conversion and going or whatever. And I was shooting for like what I was referring to as like phase 1, trying to get that done. So basic stuff. So I had to have the lights, I'd have the roof rack on, I'd have a couple things on there to make it look like kind of look like an ecto, and it would be fine for this first parade. And then eventually I'd go back and add all the other stuff I wanted to add. Well, the people that we're marching with actually pulled out of the parade because things are getting so bad in the Austin area. And then just a few days later, they officially announced that it's been postponed. It's been canceled because things are so bad in Austin right now, which is just literally an hour south of where I'm at. So things aren't great here either. That being said, so I'm continuing to work on my ecto. And then this other thing happened, and that is the trailer, the newest trailer for the new Ghostbusters movie, Ghostbusters Afterlife, dropped. And I know on one of the back channels that we, that our friendly group talks on or whatever, I posted the trailer, and then I was like, my creativity literally has come back to life. Like, it's in full force. If you have not gone to go watch the new trailer yet, go watch the trailer. It looks fantastic. I cannot wait for this movie to come out. I'm scared to death about what things are going to be like when it comes out in November. Just have a bad feeling we're going to be going, not necessarily on lockdown, but things are just going to get really shut down. So we'll see. But that being said, I'm moving forward regardless with my car. I've been working on it, and so I'm to the point that I've gotten the basket. I purchased a basket. I've got these metal rods, and I've got the lights mounted to it. I have started figuring out the power needs. I grossly overestimated my power needs. Did I tell you all about that exactly? Okay, so
you did the hour-long test, and
yeah,
3% or something.
Yeah, so here's the thing. So what I was reading was when I bought these, it says they're 3 watt. They're 3 watts is what they pull, 3 watts. So you do the calculation and it's like, well, 3 watts times 12 volts and you figure it out and divide. And I was like, okay, I don't need a very big power supply. Well, then I get to looking and other people are like, oh, well, it pulls this many amps. And I'm like, oh, well, if it pulls 18 amps, then and I'm doing 2, then I need like 100 milliamp battery, I'm sorry, 100 amp hour battery, so that I can run these things for like 2 hours. I'm figuring 2 hours that I can definitely get a parade done. That'd be fine. So I bought this 100 amp hour battery, and it's like 60 some odd pounds, like 65 pounds. It's heavy. Bought a charger. Charged it up. When I got here, it was at 96%. So I charged it up to 100%. And I was doing all this outside on the back garage. And it's funny, I was doing this while our painter was here. And so I hooked up both of the lights and went out there and checked it 15 minutes. All the cables were fine. Everything was running fine. Nothing seems to be overheating. Went back and checked it a half hour. Same thing. Checked it again at 45 minutes. Same thing. At an hour, I disconnected everything, took the battery back over, hooked it back up to the charger, and it does a few things. And then it comes back with a thing, and it tells me it's at like 96%. So I'm just like, okay, I bought way too much battery for this.
That just means you get to do more stuff.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to sell the battery right now. Like I'm trying, and here's the other thing. So, I don't know if I told you this part. So Amazon will ship me the battery. I can buy the battery from Amazon. Amazon will ship me the battery, but I cannot return it because they won't take anything that might explode. And I'm just like,
but you ship it.
Yes. So $175 later on a 100 amp hour battery. I'm currently trying to sell it. I told Christy I may have just wasted a bunch of money. Of course, she's like, we're okay, we're fine. It's not like I don't waste money from time to time anyway, So it's not like I got in, big trouble with the wife. Thank God. Yeah, it's just like, I don't know what I'm going to do. It's actually sitting back here behind me, and I bought another thing. I bought a container for it that you put the battery in, and it attaches to it, and it gives you a 12 volt, I always still call them cigarette lighters. It gives you one of those jacks, and then like a USB jack on it. And I'm like, well, I guess worst comes to worst, I just hold on to it, and if we run into a situation where we just happen to need, 100 milliamp or 100 amp hour battery, I guess I've got it. So
you could run that computer for a very long time. Charge up your computer.
See, the thing is I'm just going to make sure whatever I hook up to it, like I'll need to buy an adapter that'll turn it into 110. I just got to make sure it doesn't pull too much, but I'm like, hell, it's got 100 amp hours. It could probably pull a crap ton of amperage and still be like, whatever. Yeah. So yeah, I may have just inadvertently bought a backup battery. But I mean, like,
that's not so bad either.
But like I said, that was one of those things. Like I know enough about electricity and stuff to not be dangerous. I'll put it that way. I know enough to not kill myself. But like I said, like you read this one thing and it's like, well, how many amps does it pull? Oh, well, it pulls this. And I'm like, but the calculation on that doesn't make sense. And like I said, I was like, all right, it's going to take a real world test. Did a real world test. And I was like, okay, so way too much battery. Anyway, so like I said, I've been really excited, really interested in trying to get all this stuff done. One of the other things that they talk about in the real quick, just a side thing. So when we went to this convention, Joseph and I walked off to go look. It was Classic Gaming Fest here in Austin, Texas. And we walked off to go look at some video game stuff, and we came back, and Lainey and one of the other guys, one of the other Ghostbusters, was like, we broke your proton pack. We're so sorry. We didn't do it on purpose. I'm just like, okay, settle down. It's going to be okay. I was like, what's wrong with it? And they're like, it won't fire. All the lights and sound, everything else works. It will not fire. And I'm like, okay. So I take the thing off, and I'm doing surgery on it. And what's funny is I have people coming over asking questions about it because they're like, oh, I get to see inside the thing. If I could print a clear one somehow that would look decent, I would. I think that would be awesome. Side jag. So one of my librarians today came to ask me if she was going to invest a lot of money in doing something that she could like do on the side to make money, would it be better to look into buying a 3D printer or like a Glowforge laser cutter? And I was like, go with the Glowforge. I'm like, just realize you have to vent the thing. I'm like, but yes, there are so many things I could already think of to do with it.
Oh, yeah.
I just can't justify the investment right now because until I would figure out some way to make the money back, Chrissy would be like, well, that's a lot of money you just spent.
And space.
And space. And the fact that it has to be vented. Like it's not like a 3D printer that I can just, of course you could debate. But anyway, the 3D printers sit back here behind me. They're perfectly fine. I'm not inhaling a bunch of toxic fumes. That thing literally is a toxic fume factory. Like it has to be vented outside. Anyway, if I had one of those, I could see myself trying to cut plexi with it and then heating it and bending it and it wouldn't be like the shapes might not be 100% accurate, but if I could get one that was clear, how awesome would that be to show people? So
just need some epoxy, man. It would work.
So anyway, I take off the case, I look at it, all the pins and everything are fine, everything, nothing's come unplugged or whatever, and I was like, I wonder. So I took apart the wand, the one part on the wand, and sure enough, the cheap little switch, literally the little switch you hit to activate it, literally broke in half inside the case. So I was like, y'all could not have broken this. Like there was no physical way y'all could have broken this.
Yeah.
So anyway, the rest of the time I had to take a pair of pliers, and anytime someone wanted to watch it, I was like, all right, here, hold on, let me short the circuit so it can handle fire. But anyway, I got that fixed. In the new trailer, there's a scene where we already knew this was coming out in the new movie. There's a scene where there's a ghost. The Ecto is making a hard turn around the corner. The young lady is on the gunner seat shooting the ghost, and there's what's called the RTV, the RTV, the remote trap vehicle. It's basically a ghost trap that's set on top of a remote control toy. Mm-hmm. But this thing is cooking. Like this thing is flying around the corner with it. And I'm like, oh my God, how awesome would it be to have one of those at a convention? To be able to drive it around. So that's another thing. I'm like, all right, I need to work on that. I've got this, I've got that. So anyway, I'm like, nope, finish the Ecto first. I've got to get the Ecto done. Which leads me to what I mentioned earlier. So last night I call up Ray. I said, hey, can I talk to you in like 10 minutes for like 5 minutes? End up doing like half an hour, 45 minutes. Anyway. So I've run into this issue where like I have the basket and I've measured the basket. It's going to be on the top of the thing and it's 4 inches tall and I can design this. And I was like, all right, there's a certain thing I want to do with it that so far as I can tell, no one else has done. And I was just like, wonder what my actual clearance is on this. So I pulled out my car so that's, in and out and I get up there and I start measuring and I'm like, I only got 6 inches on this bad boy. So yeah. So what I was freaking out was I was almost to the point of talking myself out of doing the cool thing I wanted to do. But I've come up with some other ideas.
I've just thought of a new idea.
Okay, what's that?
You put an air ride suspension on your car, and then you could just drop the car.
No, Christy would kill me. Although I will say it has already granted I just bought new tires on it earlier this year. I have to say I have looked up, is there such a way to non-white wall tires? And apparently there is. So yeah.
How badass would that thing look? Just slam down and
no, that ain't happening. Oh, because my dumb ass would do something wrong with it and go over a bump and be like, well, I just screwed my car. Anyway, so anyway, I've been looking at trying to do that, and I was freaking out, and I talked to Ray and Chris about it last night, and I think I've come up with some other ideas that are going to work. But so I'm still going full steam ahead on that. So that's what I'm working on. So before we start talking about what we'd like to work on for next time, let's kind of get into kind of our main topic, as it were. And Ray's the one that threw this out there, and this comes from his newfound carving, and that is having. I'm mainly focusing on the right tools, but this is a lot of stuff. This is not only having the right tools, this is having the right tools and the right experience and the right knowledge to do something.
Mhm.
I'll just jump off here real quick. So when I first started 3D printing, of course, it's a learning thing. Like there are so many things I do differently now than I did when I first started. It's insane. And what's funny is some of the things I do now. Like younger me would have been like, "You're gonna break it." No, I'm not gonna break it. Sit down. This is fine. But that's like one of those things. Just like okay, so like leveling the bed. Like technically speaking, like they tell you when you level the bed, you're supposed to take it's roughly a sheet of paper, and you want it so that you can slide the piece of paper in between the nozzle and the bed, so there's a little bit of friction, but not too much. And you have to go around there and you have to do it all the way around the bed and this, that, and the other. And yes, occasionally I will still do that. But now I've gotten to the point that I know it's going to be pretty level. I just start the print and I watch it and I'm like, no, it's too close on this side. So I just adjust it while it's still going. And once it seems like it's pretty level, I'm like, all right, cool. Finish, scrape it all off, start round two. All right, looks good to me. Let's go. So, yeah,
Yeah,
that's one of those knowledge things.
old you would have been freaking out on
Oh
you.
my God, yes. I would have been like, you're adjusting the bed as it's going. Yeah, I'm adjusting the bed as it's going. Shut up. So, but yeah, so I'm that's one of those things that like I said, the knowledge of what you get now, over time. Well, like the whole thing with the and I've talked about this before on the show, the resin printing. I haven't done hardly any of it in a while. But I've been watching some more stuff and I'm just like, yeah, there were some things I was missing. And I think now it's making a little more sense. There's also some things I'm getting from some people that I'm just like, okay, that makes a lot of sense. Like, so I'm kind of excited to start doing another print on it because there's some things I want to try, and I think it's going to make my enjoyment from it a lot better. Because I'll be honest with you, it was becoming a real struggle trying to finish that Catan board. I was just like, oh God, I still have to get these prints, and a third of them are going to fail, and so yeah, I was just kind of powering through it at that point. So I'm hoping when I start it back up again, I'll be like, oh no, this is more enjoyable than it was the first time around. So, but so let's talk about carving.
So yeah, it's thinking about wood carving for me was the kind of the start of this. That being said, I don't know how many times I've come across not having the right tool, the right paintbrush, the right. So, for instance, when I was doing painting, as you mess around with the magnets.
Sorry, it was bothering me. I was looking at something. I was like, I can't fix this. Go on.
Um, so what I was going to say is like for painting, right? For certain effects, like when I was doing watercolor, I would get a fan brush because that's what I thought I would need. So I'd get a watercolor fan brush, except that it would just be a big blob of color as you go across. And so to actually get the effect you wanted, you had to go with a stiffer or hard, so like more of an oil fan brush to work with the watercolors to make the different effects. So it's these types of knowing the different tools for that. Today, for instance, I went down to my buddy's place and I made sure that we had the right tool for the vinyl siding and the clipper. There's a part where you have to clip so that you actually make the pieces all fit in together. So I made sure I got that as well, because there's nothing worse than getting started and being like, I wish I knew this tool existed beforehand.
Yes.
So, for carving itself, I'm thankful that Chris listened to me, and she.
Why wouldn't I listen to you?
Well, no, just
Sometimes I don't.
a knife is a knife, right? You think a knife would be a knife, but
Right.
carving knives are thinner, but they're when you sharpen them. And this is something I've learned as well with the strops, right? The one guy that I watch on YouTube, he's never taken any of his knives to a stone. He's always just used a strop with some compound in it, and that sharpens them very scary sharp. Like it's pretty incredible. How it doesn't take long either. So having the proper strop, having the proper knives, and then once you have those proper things, then you can actually start working on these things, and not fighting it, because the other thing is if you don't have a sharp knife with this, you are more apt to actually get injured because it's not going to cut the right way, or you're going to put too much pressure on a spot and then the whole piece will break, which is another thing that I learned recently. So it's also where holding your fingers in a specific way so that if you are cutting and it goes past and it breaks, nothing's in the line of that blade. So it's proper techniques as well. And yeah, it's just the carving knives for me recently was kind of a fun one, and there are so many out there, like so many different ones. I'm excited. Yeah.
Go on.
Sorry. So what I was going to say too is, but it extends into woodworking, right? There's been times where I've tried different tools and they just weren't working, and then you find out that there's a specific one for it that for dowels, for instance, making dowel holes to make sure that the dowels line up. I bought a jig to do it, and man, did that ever make a difference, right? Like it's so yeah, having the special tools to make sure that you actually have things to do it right save you a lot of time, a lot of effort, and
inevitably money, because then you're not wasting your product on the wrong, like your materials, on with the wrong tools, and you're not screwing them up.
Yeah, that's the other one too. Even though you're spending more up front, you're gonna save so much later.
Yeah. So like going along with the painting, one of the things that we did was we have a litter box that's in the corner in our laundry room, and we keep it clean. Y'all have been to my house. We're clean people.
You are.
But there would still be flecks of the litter that ended up on the wall, and if you didn't clean it after a while, it started to stick or whatever. And I was like, all right, we're not going to do this. We're not going to allow this to happen. So I went and bought plexiglass, and I was like, all right, I'm going to cut this and put it up there. And I was just like, plexiglass is so freaking brittle. I was like, okay, so what's going to be the best way to cut this? And I looked, and finally I was like, oh, you can cut it with a jigsaw. You just need the right blade. So sure enough, made sure I went and got the right blade, because I was like, I've been there and done that. And yeah, I did get a couple of small cracks, and I think it's just because my technique, I was probably going a little too far or forcing it a little too hard. But man, the cut came out great. And like, it's like I said, you can kind of, if you look really closely in the corner, you could see them. But otherwise, you just look at it, you're like, oh no, this looks like a pretty professional inside. And then, of course, also drilling the holes through it to put the screws in. I was like, oh, make sure I go grab the right bit, because I don't want to actually cut this and do a good job and then go to screw a hole through it and it just be like shatter. So
I had that with tile in our old kitchen in Inverhuron. I went and got diamond. It was a diamond bit because that was the only way I was getting through that tile without breaking it. And man, did it ever take a while. And you're holding, and then you're spraying the water on it, and you're taking your time. But it saved me so much time later, because I didn't have to rip all of the tile off because it cracked a friggin' tile. So
yeah. You have anything to add, Chris?
Crochet.
Well, I'm just trying to think with the crochet. It's more that knowing. So with any kind of like art, it's about having the right tool. And for me, it was about, okay, I don't know if I'm reading a pattern. It's like, oh, I don't know what that means. And YouTube is a godsend, because somebody has put a tutorial out there about it. And then also not being afraid to. It's called frogging. So you rip out the stitches, you ribbit, frogging. So not being afraid to just completely rip out your whole entire project, because it's just not happening. Your tension's wrong. You've got the wrong yarn, or you wind it, you just don't like the pattern. It's not working for you. And you don't like how it's turning out, and you just rip out the whole thing, and it's fine, because it'll be fine. You can make something else with it. It's not set in stone. It's not something that's permanent and then you're stuck with it. And then definitely using the right tool for the job. So if your pattern says use this tool, this specific size of hook, you can't be like, oh, I don't have that, so I'll just fudge it and do this. It doesn't work like that. It's the same with baking. I love my mother-in-law. I love my mother-in-law.
She'll never watch this, so it's okay.
No, so it's fine.
Sorry, Ma, if you ever do watch it, I love you.
She is a kamikaze in the kitchen, and I love her dearly, but she makes me nervous when she watches me because she will improvise. It's fine when you're cooking, when you're improvising.
Exactly, yeah.
Because it's all taste-based, right? Like you're not trying to, it's not a scientific experience. You're just going on what tastes good. So you add a little bit of this, you don't add that, but you'll add this instead, and it all works out in the wash, right? The
best example that I can give of this one is the yogurt that she used in a butterscotch pie. Sorry.
You interrupted me.
Okay, I'll let you keep going.
I sat and listened to you talk about knives.
I ruined the punchline. Keep going.
Anyway, so she's one of those, she doesn't read the recipe, or she'll just peruse it, or she'll just be like, oh, I already know how to make it, and just assume that she has the ingredients in her house. Because she has kind of a stocked kitchen, but if she doesn't have it, she'll be like, oh, well, and just keep going. It's like, no, that was an important ingredient. You can't not have that. Or if you don't have that, you have to make a specific equivalent. Like I'll veganize a bunch of baking and stuff like that. But it's not like I won't add eggs. I'm going to add something to replace the eggs. It's vegan. I'm not just saying, fuck it with the eggs and like, woo! And then wonder why it didn't set properly or why it's like a ball of glue.
See, sugar I know is like that. Like if it says granulated sugar, you can't use any of. If it says powdered sugar, you have to use powder. You can't substitute. Yeah.
So, and I will with sugars because sugar is more like a to taste sort of thing. So I'll like substitute brown sugar for white sugar or whatever. But when it comes to baking soda and baking powder and the amount of flour you use, like that's important shit. Salt, it's important. The amount of butter you put in. And your combining agent, like eggs or bananas or an egg replacer, like all of that's important stuff. And she's very kamikaze. So some of her stuff turns out she just gets luck. I don't know how it happens, but luck is on her side and it works out. Sometimes it doesn't. And I love her, but it doesn't. And she's just like, oh, well. And it's like, oh, what are the taste disgusting? Like I can't eat this. So when you're baking, it's more scientific than cooking, and if you're not used to that, it can be very frustrating. But she did make, because his dad's diabetic, there's these old family recipes from out east, from New Brunswick. That's where his family's from, and one of them is this butterscotch pie, and it is basically butterscotch pudding in a pie shell. In a graham cracker pie shell.
But it's so delicious. It's
really, really good. But it's more involved than that. And because he's diabetic, she was trying to cut down on the sugar and make it healthier and add some protein in it because she's a big protein nut. Except she put yogurt in it, but she put, I think it was plain yogurt to also cut down on the sugar. But it did not work well with the butterscotch. And his sister was there, and his sister has no filter when it comes to their mother, and she just flat out told her it tasted like shit. And she was a little devastated. The other thing that she makes really well, though, that I will give to her, she makes the best Rice Krispie squares, because that needs very little ability you can't really screw up Rice Krispie squares. You really can't.
They are the best.
Pretty.
They're so gooey, so good.
But that's
not healthy.
No, but that's another thing of you have to have, you got to make sure you have the right ingredients, and if you don't, maybe you don't make that thing. Maybe you make something else that you have the thing for. But what I found with crocheting is I have to have the right weight of yarn. You can't, like if you're making something specific, and you're reading a pattern, they tell you that weight of yarn for a reason. They tell you the hook size for a reason. There's also gauging, and I don't do that with blankets. I absolutely have to do that with garments because my gauge is so far off that I still haven't figured that out yet. So I just stay away from that. I'm like, I don't figure that out yet, so I'm not going to make anything like that yet, but I will. Yeah.
Do you know what gauging is?
Didn't you say it's like how closely or how tight
the stitches are?
Yeah, I remember you talking about that one time.
Yeah.
So I was off with the sweater I was making so bad. I had to rip it out 3 times, and I still can't figure out how I screwed it up that bad. I will figure it out, but not today. And it's like with paint.
She even changed like the size of her
The
needle to
needle,
make sure that she was
smaller,
on a bigger gauge than what she should have been, or that she would have been normally, and it was still too big.
It was,
and it was
way too big. Like when I say way too big, it would have fit him. Like it was too big. And then with paint, I like painting the house. My job is painting the walls. So having, you know, the right rollers and paintbrushes and
tape.
I'm not one of those who can cut in. I have no patience for that. So tape is very vital. And I'm also not a perfectionist. So if it's pretty good, it's good enough. It's okay. I'm all right with that. But yeah, definitely having the right reading your instructions, reading the pattern, making sure you've got all your bits is important. And when it says to do this,
do it.
Just do it, because right now I'm making this blanket, and this is the first time I've actually like hodgepodged 2 different patterns together, and I took a while, but I like it. I'll show you. I like the result of it.
Show you after?
I can show you right now.
Okay.
This is my Death Eater blanket that I'm making, and I ripped it out 3 different times to get it right, because I had it in my head.
Okay.
So that's what it looks like.
That's cool.
Yeah. So it's going to be, but it took me, and I've goofed up. I mean, I just looked at the mistake I just made. And I'm not going to rip it out because it's a prototype. I'm not going to rip it out. I'm going to let that go. But this is the first time I'm actually like making something based off of a video I saw, which I know I'm missing steps, but I can't find the pattern anymore. It's not on Etsy. And a free pattern. Sometimes free patterns, you get what you pay for. Sometimes they suck.
Yeah.
Sometimes they suck. And they don't make sense, and then you have to go to YouTube.
But we did find a calculator to help with everything too.
And then
so
that
was something else. So this woman, I don't have her website with me right now, but she actually, it's one of those blog ones, so you got to get down halfway before you actually get to the calculator. But it actually writes it all out for you, so that put in what the thing says it's supposed to be, how long it's supposed to be, and then also how far you have. So you have to do your test gauge, and then how long do you want it to be, rather than how long did it say it was supposed to be, and then it'll actually tell you how many stitches you have to do, so that you're at the length that you want to be, rather than
because the pattern I'm going off of, it was 47 inches wide. And I'm like, that's too wide. So how do I knock 7 inches off of that? And how many stitches would that be? So that's the part where I'm learning at, is how to sort of write my own patterns and adjust when it's not in because some patterns, like my common room blanket patterns, it was all in there. She had like 18 different sizes and what you had to do. And this is how many stitches you need to make this size of blanket. So it was like
worth every penny.
No, that one was free.
Oh,
so that one was a good one, but
still worth every penny.
Still worth every penny. But this one isn't like that, and so that's where the part where I'm learning at is like, okay, I would like to start making my own things, or at least if I'm reading a pattern and being like, I think I want to do this, have a better knowledge of how to sort of tweak it the way I want to without having it be a total disaster.
There were 3 things that, as you've been talking, I want to throw in. One, I'd always heard this, and I love this idea. Baking is a symphony, and cooking is jazz. You can just kind of do whatever you want to do. I've always loved that analogy. What was the second one? Oh, cripes, I forgot what it was. Anyway, that's what. Have y'all been watching Nailed It?
We watched Nailed It, but we haven't.
Not the recent one.
Okay, the newest season is I think it's Double Trouble, and it's teams of 2.
Oh, okay.
And on like the second to last episode, everyone is sifting their sugar, and Jacques like, why are you sifting your sugar? He's like, mix it in with your milk, and then it does this way, and then you don't have the lumps. And I'm just like, that's genius, but I never would have thought of that. So once again, picked up something from the show. I was just thinking about that. But anyway, you were talking about painting. So yes, watching Mario paint. So he basically came in, and I didn't know that was a term for it, cutting. Goes in there with a paintbrush and cuts everything. Never, I say never. He did have tape with him, but I don't think he taped a single thing. He may have. But just watching him, just steady hand. Just go right along. That's his day job, and he's been doing this for years, so I understand why he's able to do it. And then it would have never occurred to me, because that's why he would cut the entire wall and then he'd let it dry or whatever, and then he came back, and then his roller was every bit 2.5 feet wide or whatever, and it's just roll, and it's just like boom, 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 boom. It was like he was done like that.
Special tool.
Yeah, and it's like, and that's a special. Yeah, that's definitely a special tool. And then of course, talking about technique, if you've ever watched professional fence builders, nail, like one hit, done. And I'm just like, that is some talent. That takes time.
That's the other thing. You have to be patient with yourself too. Like, you're not going to be perfect at it right away. You have to suck at it for a little bit and make some really crappy things, and then eventually, like, because I remember making blankets and I couldn't figure out why they would bow in the, like, at the bottom. Like, why am I getting, it's not a square anymore, it's this weird like rhombus shape. What the hell happened? And it took me a couple of videos and a couple of test strips to realize that, my foundation chain is way too tight, so I actually have to go up 2 hook sizes just for my foundation chain in the first stitch, because otherwise it's gonna kind of cave in on itself at the very bottom, and it's then that's not a blanket anymore. Then you have like it's a weird not finished cape thing. But now that I know that, every single blanket that I make, I know that I have to have a hook that's 2 sizes up in order to make it flat at the end and not rip on itself. But it's learning that thing, and it's watching people on YouTube. And YouTube is invaluable when you're starting out a new hobby, because it's been out long enough and there's enough content out there that whatever you choose to do as your hobby, somebody out there has already put a YouTube video out telling you, breaking down steps if you hit something. There's already an expert out there that and it's free. This is all free, and you can learn, and it's awesome.
So speaking of that, Doug Linker is the YouTube channel that I've been following for my carvings. Fantastic tutorials, bunch of different little things. So, and then he has the people that he's learned from that he sends you to as well. So, definitely go check that out if you want to get into this. So.
But you're never stuck. There's always somebody out there who's been doing these for a long time and has learned the skills and just shares it freely, which is awesome.
Yep. Something else I was thinking about that I definitely could have going back and refining some things with the proper tools, not having them the proper tools the first time, putting down the flooring that I did. Pretty sure I permanently damaged my right hand by trying to do rips on boards with a skill saw instead of having a table saw to do it, because I thought, well, I don't have to rip that many. I'll just do that. And as a result, every so often that if I'm using something that I use a lot of force on, so like if I'm power washing the driveway or something like that, that's a lot of pressure I'm putting on my hand constantly. Or if I'm using something that vibrates, a tool or something, I can definitely feel it in the next day or so. And it's one of those things that's just like, you dumbass, you should have just dropped $100 or $200. It would have, you literally would have saved your hands, you goober. I'm actually holding something right now. It's not that expensive. It's a 1x2 block, or it's a 1x2x3 block. It's made out of metal. It's heavy as hell. These things are so useful for just holding down stuff or setting up stuff. Or this is an inch, and you're not going to mess it up. So if you need an inch, you just put it down there. Nope, there it is. Or here's 2 inches. Or here's 3. I need to buy some more. I've only got 2 of them, but because like whenever I'm painting outside, I'm like, well, I can paint, I can put the paper down to protect the table, and then I can tape it all off. And I was just like, no, I just need to buy a couple of these more, and I just go plop, plop, and then I can move on instead of having to. I don't want to say waste the time doing that, but I'm like,
No, but
the wind is not going to blow this thing off. This thing has got some weight to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so it doesn't even have to be an expensive tool. It doesn't even have to be something that does a super fantastic job. Just like this simple, something this simple. But man, there is something about when you get the right tool or the better tool, that just makes it all the world difference. And we on our book show, the Marginally Geeky show, we read Adam Savage's book, and he even talks about that. He even says, if you need a tool, go buy the cheapest version though, and use it. And then that way, oh, I want one that has a longer cord, or I want one that doesn't do this or has this or whatever. And then when you spend the extra money, because I've also done that as well. I've also done the research and been like, oh no, it says I need to have this, this, and this. So I went and bought those things, and turns out maybe I didn't have to have all the stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yep.
But yeah, so just kind of depends.
Yep.
All right, let's go ahead and move into what we're wanting to work on for next time. Would anyone like to go first?
Sure, I'll keep.
All right, Ray.
So I would like to start planning out Halloween.
Ooh, okay.
We are very close to September. We are very close to
sweater weather, which I'm excited for. I've been watching the YouTube channel that you have suggested.
Halloween Haunter? No, Van Oaks Props?
That's the guy. So I can't stop watching his videos. He has inspired a few different things. I don't think mine will be moving this year, but I do want to do the shovel sitting next to the grave. And I have, we were at the Restore nearby, and we found this horrible lamp.
Oh, it's fresh out of the 70s.
But dear God, is it perfect? And I'll have to show it to you later. I'll have to send you a picture of it, because it's going to be hanging. I'm gonna set it up so it's hanging. It looks like a lantern, and it's going to hang from the shovel. So this year the shovel may not move, but that thing's going to be there. And my goal is to have that lit up so that it'll actually light off with battery power.
Okay.
So I'll figure out how to hide all that this time around and wire it up that way.
Can you read this? Probably can't.
Start making tombstones.
Oh, there you go.
There you go.
That is literally his last video that he did where he's making a tombstone. I was like, all right, end of August, beginning of September, I need to start working on that. So it is literally on my calendar.
So I need to talk to you about what foam you use, because that's something else that I want to get into is carving my own tombstones, because we bought some crappy
We bought
ones,
cheap ones from Walmart.
and they're just.
They don't hold up year after year. The ones that he did look like you could, as long as you store them decently, they're year after year, they're going to be great.
Yeah. So I definitely want to invest and do it right.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, I've got definitely some
we have
ideas.
The perfect front yard for it. So.
Yeah, it's a great front yard for it. And then as well, to help me with all of those ideas, we went to the bookstore, and I grabbed this one. It was for $5. And there are some fun wiring and just different ideas on just different little things that you can do, and out of all different types of materials. And so I definitely want to, like, as simple as like tool clips, right, out of PVC, or you can get into.
Oh, that's the one you want.
Yeah, this is another one that I would like to do at some point and have it out front. It's the head in a jar. Right?
Oh, nice.
So it shows you how to do those different things and how to do it simply. I just think it's going to be, there's some fun in this one. So using magnets for different things as well, for different storage, which I'm definitely going to be using for my garage. I will be taking some of those ideas out of there. So, I probably want to do, but my main thing is going to be trying to prep for Halloween. That's
Very cool.
That's going to be my next thing.
Yeah, I've got several things I want to try to get done, and that has come back up again. And I've always wanted to buy the big giant Stay Puft, and Lowe's is going. I'm sorry, Home Depot, I think, or maybe it's Lowe's. Anyway, one of the two is offering yet another one this year. Unfortunately, he's holding looks kind of like a pumpkin, like you're doing trick or treating or whatever. And I was like, oh, I could maybe cut that off. There might be a black bee in there or whatever. It's like, well, it's 10 feet, so it's gonna be huge. That'd be awesome. How much? $200. I'm hoping. So I've got to tell you about this. So the one we had at our convention, one of the guys, Daniel, showed up and had it. He had a big blow up one, and it was an 8-foot tall Stay Puft that we, used to take pictures and stuff. It was fantastic to have. Lots of people, saw it, came around, wanted to take pictures with it and stuff. And he's like, guess how much I got it for? I'm like, you're going to piss me off, aren't you? He goes, yep. He said, I found it on Facebook. This woman had a Ghostbuster themed party in Austin. Now, parts of Austin can be very bougie. And of course, it's for a party, so I don't need it anymore. $20. Normally went for like $150 to $200. He got for $20. So I'm like, how did you find that? So he showed me how to do searches on Facebook Marketplace and save the searches.
Oh, there you go.
So that it will repeatedly keep coming up and telling me stuff. Now it seems to keep slipping. Like I've told it only local within a certain area, but it will come up and tell me stuff that's shipping or whatever. So I'm just like, whatever. But every day I if I see it come up, I'm like, oh, let me see. Is this the day I'm gonna find? No, not yet. So, but anyway, I've wanted to do because I even told Christy, I was like, I could get a big Stay Puft and I could make New York in our front yard. Wouldn't you like New York in the front? No, she won't New York. So instead, instead, I think she's definitely okay with me doing like tombstones and stuff like that. So I'm like, okay, well that's fine. I can do that. So, but yeah, that's his channel is fantastic.
Even the spotlights, right? Where he's talking about using the spotlight to make the candles look like they're even more like. I'm all in. Like,
the stuff that he's doing inside his house to make it, to replicate mansion stuff is just. Yeah. He knows what he's doing. He does a damn good job.
Oh yeah. I liked the last one I watched was the elevator.
Yep.
And I thought about where I could put that in this place. I'm like, it'd be kind of cool to put it near a door.
That would be awesome, actually.
So it looks like an elevator door. Just saying. But anyway,
that would be cool, actually. See, I not that Joseph is that handy, but I have a bad feeling if Lainey ever started watching it, she'd be like, I need all of the things he's doing. Like, I could see her definitely being like, okay, not full on Haunted Mansion, but definitely hard hits of it in the house.
Oh yeah.
So,
I'll show you the one that I was talking about. Yeah.
All right, Chris. Besides DMing this maker, what else are you wanting to work on? I've already written that on there. It's going to happen. All right.
I want to finish this blanket. And I organized my office. I bought a cork board. But I have 2 more ideas for blankets, and it's Lord of the Rings. So one for Aragorn and one for Erebor. Because I'm going to read the Hobbit soon, so Erebor's kind of a prevalent place there. Anyways, so I have those ideas, and I want to see if I can get any more, if I can find any more inspiration. But yeah, definitely get this blanket done. I have a feeling it's going to take me longer to do just because every row I'm switching yarn. Not that it's not a complicated blanket or anything like that, but it's just switching back and forth and trying to figure out how I don't have to weave all those freaking ends in, because that's going to suck. I'll show you when we're done what I did to myself. I've done this to myself. So I'm trying to figure out how I'm not going to have to weave in 100 ends when this is all done. So,
oh wow.
Yeah, I'm going to try and see my budget. So I would like to have that done. I will DM that man. And just see if I can come up with some more ideas. Also, for the house, I have totally let my scatterbrain take over with the house. Totally let it have full reign, and it's bad. So I need to. Oh yeah, I've got like 4 different projects on the go. Nothing's complete. It's all just. And I live with somebody who isn't particular, so he doesn't care.
So we've got 3 different
Paint swatches on the
swatches on the wall in the kitchen, which whatever.
Yesterday I got there, took all the front doors off the cabinets that we've got, so they're gone now. And then the entryway is not done yet, but it's got a wallpaper sample up on it, and half of the stairway walls are painted, and some of the paint's been stripped off the trim. And the bathroom's pretty much done, so that's nice. I just have to add like decorative items. Oh, also we figured out can't put wallpaper in the 2 rooms that I want because it's going to be almost $500. So I have picked the entryway just to do the wallpaper.
All right.
Wallpaper is expensive.
Is it?
Pardon?
Is it?
Yeah.
Or is it the particular one you're looking for, or is all wallpaper kind of expensive?
There's 3 different types of wallpaper you can get. You can get the traditional, which is just paper, so there's no paste. There's nothing on it. That's like the shit that you have to take off with a steamer later on when you hate it.
Okay, yeah.
So that's your cheapest option. Then there's the pre-pasted removable kind, which is what I went for because I'm probably not going to live with this for more than 5 years, I figure, and I'll get sick of it. In and around that. It's so pretty though. And then you have the peel and stick, which is really popular now, but the peel and stick, which is a massive sticker, is high end. Like it's for a 2 foot by 9 foot roll, I think it was $90.
Yeah.
$90? $95?
For the 2 rolls of paper.
No, for one
roll of paper.
For one roll of paper.
Which was a 9 foot, by 2 foot. Like
2 foot section of paper.
Insane.
And it's $90 for peel and stick.
And we need 3 per.
We need 3. That adds up because we have a 9 wall and it's 5 feet wide.
So you're at $200.
Yeah, so we've pegged it down
for a small wall.
Yes, but nothing I've done in this house is finished, and my scatterbrain is it's run amok. So I need to hone in on something, pick something, one project, and freaking finish it. I don't know what it's going to be, but I have one and just do it. So I have to. Not tomorrow because we have lots to do tomorrow.
No, tomorrow's not
this
today.
weekend sometime I'm going to.
I'm working this weekend, so that's
so
great.
I can. You're not a distraction.
Yeah, that's the other thing. If I'm here, I'm a distraction. So then I all of a sudden like.
You are though.
The
projects.
The projects.
6'1" massive distraction.
So the projects that she wants to work on, she can't work on because I'm here.
I want to talk to you and I want to hang out with you, and it's very difficult to get things done when you're here. You all time with me, and then we wind up doing other things. Anyway, so
like watching What If.
Yeah. So I would like to pick one project in this house to actually I have to get done before my scatterbrain picks something else. And it's already things, but I can't do those things. That's not
Yeah, no, I understand because at work today we've got like 4 or 5 different things going on in the office, and I literally went from thing to thing, and I looked at my partner, I was just like, my adult ADHD is ripping me up today.
It's hard.
Because I'll literally do a little bit over here and walk over here and be like, no, wait a minute, we'll go ahead and take care of this. No, we go ahead and work on this. Yeah, so.
Yeah, that's what I've done to the house.
But I live with people.
But I live with people who it doesn't bother them, so it's not a disruption for them. So that's also a good and bad thing, because it's a good thing because then nobody's up my butt, but it's a bad thing because nobody's up my butt about it.
Yeah, see, I live with just the opposite, so I know that when I start a project, there's a timer going. It doesn't have a specific time on it. I just know it is counting down.
That one, yeah.
That's this one usually when I start a project.
Yes. But he's not like that when I start a project. He's just, whatever.
So, for instance, when we did the floors, time was ticking. We had to do this in a specific time frame.
Yes.
Gotcha.
So we get the house back together in a specific time frame.
I'm not sad about that. We got those puppies done, and we got 2 rooms done in 4 days. It was awesome.
It was pretty quick. But Yes, when it's somebody else's turn to start, it's the rope is long.
Gotcha.
Because you don't care.
I don't.
It's different.
The things I want to work on is I am going to get these lights installed. Like the house is looking really good. It's definitely a more modern refresh. And and I think I said this on the last episode. I don't think it's going to be hard. I don't foresee this being hard even in the slightest. It's just getting it done. It's like literally I had planned on it this weekend, and I was just like, okay, well I'll get the living room back together, and then I'll do that. And it took a lot longer than I thought it was going to, and so I'm like, well, no, not today. Maybe tomorrow. Nope. And we've been so tired from work because it's the first week back. It's like, no, I don't want to try to start this tonight. So I'm hoping maybe this weekend. But by the next time we talk on this show, I will have gotten these 6 lights installed, hopefully. And then of course the other thing is I'm just going to keep pouring all my time into this Ecto. I'm going to get it done. I want to get it done just not only so I can just check it off my list. It's also because even if we are locked down, there are some things that I could still technically do with it. So like Christy was showing me for the boy's next birthday, a friend of hers, little girl, had a birthday today, and they had bought. Have you seen like where people are buying the big? It's each individual sign, letter, but it's like a big sign that goes almost in the entire front yard. Like happy birthday. Yeah, and she was like, well, let's do that for the boys or whatever. And of course, the thing that started with COVID was, having parades for people. We can't have a party, so we'll do a parade. And I'm just like, I'll fucking lead this parade with an Ecto, and that would be awesome. Because I saw several people do a parade, and we were asked, we joined in a couple of them. I'm just like, how awesome would it have been to been able to
have the Ecto there?
Have the Ecto there. So yeah, it's one of those things. Unlike some of the other stuff I'm wanting to work on, if we get locked down again, it may have to go in the deep freeze for a little while before I can get out, and really show it off. But this thing, on the other hand, nope. Like I could still do stuff with it. So I'm kind of really, energized and going that way. Plus, to be honest with you, like I've just at this point need to get the design down. I've already started. I've already bought the lights for it, and I'm like, I think I can do the programming on this pretty easy. So it's just going to be getting the time and sitting down to do it. So, yeah. So that's what I'm working on is focusing on the Ecto and then installing the lights in the house. So that is our show for the month, ladies and gentlemen. If you would please give us a 5-star rating on iTunes, Google, Stitcher, wherever it is you listen to the show. We don't have a huge listenership on this show, so if you are one of our listeners and if you know someone else you think would enjoy this, we'd love, share the information, share an episode with them. It would be nice to kind of get our listenership up a little bit. So, and then of course, if you leave us a rating, that definitely helps on iTunes as well. So, you can check us out at epicallygeeky.com, where you can find all of our shows, including the Epically Geeky Show, the Marginally Geeky Show, and the Sustainably Geeky Show. We're recording a new episode next week of Marginally Geeky, where we are discussing what's the book again?
Project Hail Mary.
Project Hail Mary. That's right. Where we're discussing Project Hail Mary. So, so that episode will be coming out week after this one. And then you can find us on all the social media at Epically Geeky. Where can we find you online, Ray?
The Reluctant Yeti on Instagram.
Chris?
On all the shows that you mentioned, and on Instagram at Rose and Hummingbird.
And as always, you can follow my individual wacky adventure online at Optimus Gene. Pardon me. For everyone on the site, have a good night.